Hi guys, this is Dr. Sadasivam with you once again. And today we are going to talk about some of the schemes introduced by the Government of India for the MSMEs, which is the micro, small and medium enterprises sector in terms of loans and advances in order to pull those companies because of the crisis caused by COVID during the last year. We are talking about last February 2020 when COVID was affecting the whole country. In fact, the Union Cabinet approved CELC in May 2020. Let me explain to you what CELC is. Okay, before we come to the CELC, we are going to talk about what all, we will be covering in this particular video. We will be covering some of the government schemes like CELC, which stands for COVID Emergency Line of Credit. And second, we will be talking about MUDRA. Of course, MUDRA is not introduced for the COVID period. It was introduced just after Modi ji came to power in the year 2015. I think MUDRA was introduced in the year 2015. So we will also talk about that. MUDRA loans were also covered under the newly formed, newly announced COVID emergency line of credit, and that is why we are covering MUDRA. Okay, so except for MUDRA, all the schemes which are going to talk about, they've all been introduced after COVID just to provide liquidity in the hands of MSMEs because of the pain caused by COVID. Okay, so we are going to talk about CELC, which is the COVID emergency line of credit, and second we will be talking about ECLGS, stands for Emergency Credit Line Guarantee Scheme, and thirdly we will be talking about CGTSME, which stands for Credit Guarantee Fund Trust for Micro and Small Enterprises. Once again, it is CGTSME, Credit Guarantee Fund Trust for Micro and Small Enterprises. So all these three, that is CELC, COVID Emergency Line of Credit. The second is ECLGS, Emergency Credit Line Guarantee Scheme, and finally CGTSME, which stands for Credit Guarantee Fund Trust for Micro and Small Enterprises. All these schemes have been introduced during the last year after the COVID struck us. I think it was in the month of April, May last year 2020, just to help this particular sector, because the MSME sector is extremely important for the growth of our economy. So before we start explain what these schemes are, let me also explain to you why the government gave such a big push. MSME is one of the largest employers in this country, and because it was a country-wide lockdown, we all understood that they were suffering a lot. So unless you introduce these kind of schemes, we were about to get into a kind of vicious circle. So it was one of the path-breaking plan of the Government of India in terms of introducing all these schemes. So today, if we are in a very comfortable situation, especially as far as the economy is concerned, because of series of steps the government had taken in the past. And let's be very clear, I've put up lots and lots of videos which explains how the exports have gone up. We have hit the trade deficit as 8 months low. The GST collections have increased. The direct taxes collections have increased. The indirect tax collections have increased. The foreign portfolio investors, that is the FPI investments, all have improved very significantly during the last year in spite of the severity of COVID and also the second wave. In spite of that, we have been able to perform all these feats only because of some of the best schemes introduced by the Government of India, including the PLI scheme. We're not going to talk much about that, which is Productive Linked Incentive Scheme. That's totally a different scheme altogether. We are only talking about the credit schemes for MSME. First is the CELC scheme, which we are going to talk about, which is the COVID Emergency Line of Credit. The Union Cabinet approved CELC in the year May 2020. Guys, I will be calling it a CELC, especially for IAS aspirants. It's extremely important. It might figure up in your essay questions. You must be able to write 3-4 pages substantiating it proper data. So please listen to this lecture very carefully. So as part of that approval by the Union Cabinet in the year May 2020, additional fund of approximately 3 lakh crores, remember it, 3 lakh crores to different sectors was allotted, which means allotted to what? It was allotted to MSME, which is micro, small and medium enterprises. In fact, they made it applicable even for the MUDRA followers. Remember, we talked about MUDRA. MUDRA stands for Micro Unit Development and Refinancing Agency Limited. Micro Unit Development and Refinance Agency Limited. MUDRA was not introduced after the COVID. It was introduced way back in 2015. We have also discussed that just after Narendra Modi ji assumed power. So once again, to help the MSME sector, right, we will also give some details about MUDRA. Under the scheme, more than 29 crore loans, 29 crore, population of approximately 30% of the population, say 25% population benefited out of this MUDRA loans. So loan schemes, an amount of approximately 15 lakh crores was sanctioned under this scheme by various financial institutions. When we talk about financial institution, it covers the whole spectrum, like your NBFCs, your MFIs, which are microfinancing institutions, and also the banks, the normal banks. So under the scheme, loans up to approximately 10 lakh crores were provided to non-corporate but not corporate, non-farm, small and micro enterprises. Remember, it is not for farms. This was done with a view to provide the last mile financial institutions like your NBFCs, micro financial institutions, etc. You have various things. We will not go into detail into all those. We did a program for Manappuram. You have something for 50,000, then Kishore you have, and then Tarun for 5 lakh to 10 lakh, 50 to 5 lakhs, etc. All these are collateral free loans. Basically, it was meant for the disadvantaged sections, which covers women, SC, ST, OBC, minority, new entrepreneurs, etc., etc. Right? This MUDRA scheme has provided more than 1.12 crore additional employment, right? Out of which 60% of the people are women. Very important. But remember, all we have talked about is under the MUDRA, because MUDRA is covered under the scheme that we are talking about is the CELC, which is COVID Emergency Line of Credit, CELC, which covers what? It covers micro, small, medium enterprises, and it also covers the MUDRA. We've talked a lot about MUDRA now. Now, second, we are going to talk about other scheme, which is called as ECLGS. ECLGS stands for Emergency Credit Line Guarantee Scheme. Under this scheme, what does this do? This was launched as part of the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan package. Once again, this was to mitigate the corona distress suffered by micro, small and medium enterprises. What is this? These are fully guaranteed, collateral free, remember this point, collateral free additional line of credit to the MSMEs enterprises. It is also applicable for MUDRA even in this case, and of course individual loans for businesses are also covered, right? But broadly, one should understand that the loan amount is limited to 20% of your credit outstandings as on February 2020. Very important, right? So what is the speciality of this? The speciality is more than 100% guarantee will be offered by a separate agency, which is allotted for this purpose, which is called as the National Credit Guarantee Trust Company, also called as NCGTC. Remember guys, it might come as an objective question in your preliminary. What is the full form of NCGTC? National Credit Guarantee Trust Company. Very important. In the essay question, if it comes, you have to add all these things. Where is this loan coming from? Who is guaranteeing that? They're not offering collateral. So who is giving the guarantee? It is all done by the National Credit Guarantee Trust. So all these loans under ECLGS, they are all of a 4-year tenor. And the beauty of that is there is a moratorium of payment of principal component for 1 year. Please remember this, very important, moratorium component for the principals. So the borrowers will be provided loans up to 50 crores. Remember this, and this is only restricted for people whose turnover is still 250 crores. Very important. Reliance and your Birlas and Tatas cannot apply for this. Okay, only turnover up to 250 crores. In the month of August 2020, remember this, the government widened the scope of this loan of 3 lakh crore ECLGS by doubling the upper ceiling of the loan outstanding. Remember, we talked about loan outstandings on 20th of February. They have doubled the cap on it, and they have also included lots and lots of individuals like your doctors, lawyers, chartered accountants, trainers, etc., etc. You know, there are all those professionals can benefit. Individual loans are also being provided. Once again, it's a 4-year loan tenor, which includes a moratorium of 1 year on principal payments. Of course, the interest is 9.25 for banks and maybe a little higher for maybe 13-14% for NBFCs. Now, looking at the later stages, and this status keeps changing, more than 2 lakh crore loan have already been sanctioned, guys. Don't say government keeps announcing schemes and they announce certain things and they do nothing about it. 2 lakh crore loans have already been sanctioned, guys. 60 approximately, I think 60 lakh borrowers have already benefited from these schemes. So remember all these figures. You might be in a very good advantage if you quote these numbers, these name of these schemes, full form, etc. And the third one we are going to talk about is CGTMSE. CGTMSE stands for Credit Guarantee Fund Trust for Micro and Small Enterprises. These are kind of to serve subordinate debts. In fact, we will talk about the role of this CTC. The logo is a colorful flying board, right? A beautiful graphic designer. I'll ask my graphic designer to put it. So it's a full flying bird, which indicates that you are giving wings for the entrepreneurs of this country, because entrepreneurs are the important lifeline to this Indian economy. So this is some kind of a hybrid kind of a product, loan product, which means this will allow guarantee cover for a portion of the credit facility which is not covered by the collateral securities. We're talking about other kinds of loans. For example, the micro lending institutions can obtain collateral for part of the credit facility from this agency, right? So the remaining up to 200 lakhs will be covered under the CGTMSE, but generally the guarantee covers, it ranges for different people, for different industries. It is different turnover. They have special schemes for women, they have special schemes for MSME. In fact, there is a special scheme for the Northeast region also, just to provide impetus to the Northeast states, your 7 sisters under the CGTMSE. They're not going to give you complete details in terms of what it is, but this is from the purpose of IAS, IPS examination from that. But if you are an MSME guy and if you really want to know what these loans, because you need to make the documentation, approach the banks, because ultimately you need to get the money for them. Depending on the requests I receive, I will be putting up a separate video, but only if I receive quite a good number of requests. Other than that, I don't want to waste my time doing all this, for which putting up a video and 10 people see that. So if I get more requests, then I will put up a separate video which will tell you various parts of this, what kind of documentation you need to do, how you should approach the bank, what kind of questions the bank manager might ask you, how you should prepare yourself to face the bank manager, how to convince him, how to make the, all these things are important, because ultimately for you it's getting the check in hand. I will help you how to make this presentation, how to make this project report, etc. in a separate video, but only if I get sufficient amount of requests. Now CGTMSE will also have a paripasu kind of an arrangement, right? Paripasu means if tomorrow there is a default, then of course they will also have some kind of a claim on the primary security. Okay, paripasu is a legal term, we will not get too much into it, right? If need be, I will put up a separate video. Okay guys, I think these are some of the developments in these schemes introduced by the Government of India in order to help the MSME sector, because they constitute one of the major employment, they are major employers in this country, and the success of MSME is very crucial for economic development of our country. Keeping this in mind, we have made this post. I hope guys you all enjoyed this presentation. This is Dr. Sadasivam signing off till we meet again. Bye bye. Jai Hind.